Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle and I have a brand new Versus review. This time we're putting the new Generations Artfire with Nightstick up against the Transformers United Artfire with Nightstick and Sparks. We'll go through them, see which one's better, and then you let me know in the comments which you like more. Be right back. All right, so we're gonna start off with the United version. And I'm gonna pull this guy out. It's got instructions, but the mold appears to be very similar to the Transformers Classics Grapple and Inferno. There he is in his plastic prison with his two buddies. Now I'm going to assume that this little buddy is Nightstick and this is Sparks. So an interesting thing I'm noticing with this bot is he doesn't have the water squirter type cannon that came with Inferno. He actually has Grapple's hook in gray, which is kind of neat, but shouldn't he kind of be a fire engine? Because that was the original. But regardless, it's still a cool looking toy. He's got the same color scheme as the original G1. Now you may be wondering why I'm not comparing this to the original G1. Because I don't have the original G1 Artfire. It's only released in Japan, and though they weren't that thrilled with him, he skyrocketed in value just because they didn't make that many. Just like the other classics, he's got some pretty good posability. He can move his arms all around, though he's got this big honking hook that he can smack people around with, and he might. But he can put his arms out to the side, he can move them up, he can bend at the elbow. The wrists don't really move, though they do turn. They don't go side to side though. So you can turn him at the wrist. He's got these nice little shoulder guards. And he's got this like crotch cover, woohoo! And if you slide that forward, he can kind of bend his knee pretty far in that direction. If you put his toes up, he can almost do a Jean-Claude Van Damme. His leg can go way back, but due to the nature of the joints and the transformation, his legs can't go that far forward. He can kind of do a side kick. He does twist at the knee, so you can make him do some really funky things. Artfire's head turns as well. But overall, pretty posable. Not bad for a figure that was released in 2012. It was a mail-away figure, and definitely pretty cool. Again, why they did a repaint of Inferno and then gave him Grapple's hook, I'm not quite sure. It's an interesting decision. But regardless of having the hook, he also has friends. Friends who can become weapons. So first up of the little Targetmasters is Nightstick, and he bends at the elbow, and his arms can move at the shoulder and rotate, but they can't go out to the sides. His head does not turn. He does not have knee joints, but he can do a mean front kick and a mean front split. And he does have a little joint here at his waist, so he can actually do a little bow. That's part of the transformation, I imagine. But pretty posable, especially compared to the original Targetmasters. Little Targetmaster guns were like, yeah, couldn't do much. The transformation seems pretty simple. And there he is in gun mode. Sparks, on the other hand, has a lot more posability, it appears. His arms can go in all different directions. He's on ball joints here. He can bend at the knee. Also can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, though he's got the two guns on his back that you kind of have to push out a little bit for him to actually get into the position. Head doesn't turn, but a much more dynamic and posable figure. However, his gun mode is kind of interesting. You bring up these guns and you bring his legs around to the sides and plug them into his shoulders. There are pegs in the shoulders that apparently plug into the legs. And so what you end up with is a gun that has handles on two sides. Of the two in gun mode, I definitely like Nightstick better. Sparks has a much better robot mode. And again, you realize that it's very difficult for a human to aim at two targets at once, fire with any type of accuracy. I don't care what they do in the movies. But for this guy, he's got two guns, can aim themselves, so pretty deadly. Kind of like those Targetmaster Juniors from G1. They had two guns and probably kicked some serious butt or ass, depending on what you want to call it. So that's robot mode for this version of Artfire. Time to break out the Generations bad boy. So he looks very nice in his plastic. Comes with a number of accessories, including a regular gun and hose attachments, blast effects, and of course the bot itself. The hoses you can plug into his legs so that they're on the side of the truck in fire truck mode. like Inferno, you can switch around the hand and add a hose gun or missile launcher. You can also add this hose next to his head so he can spray from there. When you're not using that, you can plug it onto his ladder on his back, so that's nice storage. And again, he does have the regular gun, so you could pretend that he just met Nightstick, you know, so you can go with pre-Targetmaster Artfire and then post-Targetmaster Artfire. Now the blast effects apparently can go on the end of his rifle and probably also on the end of the Targetmaster. So now Nightstick kind of looks like the other Nightstick. His arms very similar as far as posability. Does not bend at the knee, so can do a Jean-Claude Van Damme, though you might have to move the back cannons. And he can kick, you know, pretty high. Okay, so if we transform him into weapon, which fits very nicely in Artfire's hand. Well, let's take a look at Artfire, because we didn't really explore his posability that much. His arms do go out to the sides. He knows it's fun to play at the YMCA. Well, he can't quite do the M very well, but he bends at the elbows, bends at the knees, twists at the waist, full Jean-Claude Van Damme. His head does turn, though, you know, with the way his head is positioned with these plates, it doesn't help very much turn his head. You'd have to like turn the entire thing, and that doesn't work too well. But yeah, he can be kung fu fighting. You can even kind of move the wrists a little bit, because that's how you hide his fists during the transformation, and it's also how you get the attachment for the nozzle. So here's a Generations Artfire, well armed. Now, he does have two weapons, like the Transformers United version, but Nightstick can aim himself and he can aim the other one. So he's maybe not quite as deadly as the Transformers United one, but still I wouldn't mess with him. And he can hit you with a hose. Now side by side you can see Transformers United Artfire slightly taller, slightly bulkier, but they're still both very cool Transformers. Judging by the front chest of each of them in scale, the United one would probably be a little shorter. All right, well, since we're comparing these guys, time for vehicle modes. So we'll start off again with the Transformers United Artfire. And he does have a pretty clever transformation with the front wheels kind of hidden. So there's Transformers United Artfire in his vehicle mode. And he does look like a fire engine, but he has an extendable hook instead. So I suppose that can help out in a fire situation. I think one of the reasons they did that is in order to have, and he rolls around very nicely, these guys somewhere in vehicle mode, actually push them through the hook, plug them together, and you have one weird looking cargo on the end of that hook. But deadly. It can, you know, blast as he's going down the street. But it rolls very nicely. I'm not very thrilled with this, but you know, it is weapon storage, so it's better than nothing. You could also have like Nightsticks sitting there while Sparks rides the crane. Not as much of a disguise, but then again, having two friggin' weapons on the end of your hook, not much of a disguise either. But still, a very solid vehicle mode. Basically, it's the same as the Classics Inferno and Grapple and the Hotspot as well. Now the Generations Artfire, very solid truck as well, very solid fire truck. It's got a ladder-ish type thing. You can store his regular gun on the side there, which, I don't know, I'd be a little concerned if I saw a fire engine coming down the road with a huge weapon on its side, but I guess you can plug Nightstick into the other side, or you can have him just sit on top. His two barrels can go into the armholes here. I don't think they're supposed to, but gives him a stable ride. The blast effects, well, put them where you will. Definitely much more reminiscent of the G1 version, and a decent truck. Though I have to say, Transformers United 1 rolls a little farther. But there they are side by side with their Targetmaster companions. I think they're both neat. They both have advantages and some disadvantages. Again, I'm not totally thrilled about the hook part of Artfire here, and his rolling isn't exactly the best, but still both very neat vehicles. This one, again, closer to the G1 version of the character. This one has an extra Targetmaster. Which to choose? Well, I don't have to. That's your job. Let me know in the comments below which one you think is better. Me, I have them both, so I guess I don't need to necessarily choose. I will put links in the description. I don't know if this is still available through Hasbro Pulse. If it is, I will put a link to that. You can also check eBay. This guy you'll definitely have to check on eBay. He cost me, I want to say around 50, 60 bucks, something like that at TFCon. And I think I got a pretty good deal on it. Of course, I knew the vendor, friend of mine, so you may not get as good of a deal. But both cool. Let me know which one you like better. And if you like both of them, or just like this video, give us a thumbs up. Click the like button, in other words. And while you're waiting for whichever one you decide to order or track down, we've got some other videos. You can subscribe, you can comment. Again, let me know which one you like better, or any other comments you have. We love comments. We will see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.